Welcome back. I'm here this morning with our resident financial advisor, Derieck Hodges of Anchor Pointe Wealth Management, and we're talking about a spring cleaning of sorts for our finances. How are we doing this morning, Derieck?
Doing great, thanks.
Wonderful. So it's spring, and this might be the time of the year when people consider moving. And when it comes to moving, there's a lot to think about, not just packing up your life and moving, but also when it comes to finances and all of that. So what do people really need to consider when they move?
Yeah, well, right now, I mean, this is a really interesting time in the real estate market. We have interest rates up, and we went through COVID where when a house was going to be on the market, people just grabbed it and paid overpriced. And so the market's changed a lot just in the last couple of years. And so with interest rates high, I would say big thing people need to do is kind of clean up their finances, make sure your credit score is strong, make sure you've paid things on time. If your credit score has any dings on it, if you can clean those up, be working on that much as you would clean your house out.
Yeah, most definitely. And there's also a way to spring clean those finances. So what do you really mean by that?
Yeah, I think there's so many records. When you think about your house, we all have probably a closet, a basement, something. If we walk in, you kind of go, oh my Lord, what's in here?
Yeah.
And so if you were going to move, it would make sense logically to try to thin a lot of that out anyway. I just think financially, it's good to kind of clear out the clutter. Finances can be a bit overwhelming for us anyway. And if we have a whole lot of documents that we don't really even need, I just think that clouds us even more. So I believe that there are a number of documents that we can kind of put in categories and say, how long do I need to keep those? And if I don't, how can I securely get rid of those and purge those?
Yeah, I think that that's something that, I always struggle with, because I'll keep all of my bills or whatever it may be, and I just put them literally in a closet and they just collect dust. What's the best way to, is that something that I should take a picture of and put into, a folder on my computer, just shred them? How can we, better take care of those things when it comes to that?
Well, I definitely like going digital for things, but honestly, digital is not any different. We can end up with just a file full, a cloud file full, let's call it, of stuff that we don't need. So I think the first thing to do is just determine what things do I need. So a good place to start is the tax return. As a general rule, you probably don't need a tax return for longer than 7 years, maybe as short as 3 years, but you definitely need 3 years worth of tax returns. I would probably err on the side of keeping 7 years. So when I get that decision made, I can say, all right, I'm gonna probably purge those other ones. But then the supporting documents that go toward that tax return, I likely need to keep those as well. So if I have receipts for things that I deducted on my taxes, I likely want to keep those as well for that same time. But so that means maybe my bank statements from 10, 12, 15 years ago, I don't need those anymore. So there's a number of those age documents that I can get rid of.
And I feel like, since it is still tax season right now, this really would be a good time to just kind of get your finances in check and make sure you have all of those documents in a place where it's safely, secured and no one can find them but you. I feel like this is probably just a good time of the year to make sure that you have all those finances where you need them to be.
Yeah, anytime we have things at our fingertips and it's organized, we're always going to be better off. So, it's just like right now, if you got an audit from the IRS and you had all this stuff, it'd be nice to know I've got all my records, but if it's not organized, it's just going to be chaos.
Right. And something else to talk about is how graduation season, that is right around the corner. What do graduates really need to start thinking about when it comes to finances?
Yeah, I think all of this is about a season of change. And so when we have high schoolers graduating or college students graduating, there is a change going on there, and there's usually some legal changes. So let's start with the high schoolers. When somebody gets to be 18, they're now an adult legally. So you may still have consider them a dependent in your household, but they are an adult. So I think in previous sessions we've talked about estate planning. I think an 18-year-old needs to have a little bit of estate planning done so that a parent, a guardian, somebody can oversee them if they're incapacitated. Starting to think about their credit score becomes even more important. Helping them understand debt and how to manage debt, super important. So giving them those skills so that they're equipped as they move more into adulthood, they're in better shape.
Yeah.
There's also a lot of insurance things that start to happen during these seasons of change. So certainly with college students, we may have decisions that we need to make about auto insurance.
Right.
Maybe our personal property that they take off to college is important to talk to our insurance agent about. And certainly health insurance is a big topic. There's some ages where we start to see some changes there.
Yeah, it sounds like there's definitely a lot of things that people probably need to start thinking about. You know, if you are heading into that graduation season, obviously congratulations, but there's things that need to be thought about. Derrick, thanks so much for joining us on The Breakfast Show too. Maybe it's time to start spring cleaning those finances. We'll be back in just a bit.